Before AI, I was creating things and they were never as good as what was in my head. I was always disappointed. And now it always exceeds what the idea was in my head because AI is so powerful and it's so exciting and fun.
Most entrepreneurs know that they should validate before building, but far fewer actually do it because creating proof of an unbuilt idea takes time and resources that most founders simply don't have. But AI has changed all of that. On this episode of the Thinking Straight podcast, I'm joined by Michael Henry, a former brand and content leader at GoPro, Adobe, and Red Bull, who's now building entrepreneurial ventures using AI. Earlier this year, Michael pre-sold 220 memberships to a co-working space that didn't exist yet, leaning heavily on AI-generated assets to promote the vision. Our conversation covers how he used AI to create meta video ads, allowing him to collect deposits and sign a commercial lease with proof of demand already in hand, the Figma Weave workflow he uses to chain image and video models together to create highly polished assets, and how he leverages Claude to write prompts for other AI models, unlocking his own creative output. Michael walks us live through his building process, taking a product idea from concept to video ad in a single session, making this one of the more practical and tangible creative demos that we've done on the show. If you're an entrepreneur, creator, or marketer who wants to quickly prototype and validate ideas in the market, this is a fantastic episode for you. Let's dive in. Hey, Michael, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Appreciate you having me, Jason.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was thinking about, places to jump in, and you've got a lot of diverse experience, right? You've worked at lots of big companies, so Red Bull, GoPro, Adobe. You're now doing the entrepreneurial thing, which we're going to dive into and talk more about. And then across these different domains, you've also worked in content, design, and product. So you've got a very wide breadth of experience. And then separately, I think about AI. And one of the things I think is most impactful about it is its ability to allow like small teams and solopreneurs to really operate at a pace and a quality level that really used to be the sole domain of like very large, well-resourced companies. So I'm curious, given your perspective in a variety of different domains and environments, like how have these new like unlocked capabilities really impacted the way that you approach your work?
Yeah, so I quit my full-time job 4 years ago and have basically been on the entrepreneurial roller coaster since then. And one of the most profound lessons I've learned, maybe in my life, is sell before you build. Because I've spent a lot of time, literally years, building things that people don't want. So that quote and just like that mentality has really stood out to me. Sell before you build. And with AI tools, the main case study we're going to dive into today is this shared workspace that I'm launching. You can sell things before you build them because it's so easy to mock up a landing page super quick. Not even mock up, make a live landing page super quick, or make product content, whether that's a digital product or a physical product. So yeah, that'll be the main case study that I dive into today, and that profound lesson of sell before you build.
It is really a transformational ability, and it applies across even like, I think sales is a great application of that idea. Also, like if you're doing product work, it's so easy now to go into Claude Code and spin up like a quick clickable prototype to put in front of a customer, get feedback, put in front of internal teams. So I agree. That's one of the most transformational things, because one of the biggest time wasters in business is what you said. It's, it's building things that people don't want. So I think that's a great insight. You're doing a lot of things as an entrepreneur today. You teased this work club that you're building. So before we jump straight into showing some of the stuff that you're doing and how you're building, talk a little bit about some of the things that you're doing today and some of the projects, just to give some context to that as we jump in.
Yeah, the primary thing I'm working on is launching a shared workspace called the Work Club in my hometown of Cleveland, Ohio. And we've had a very unique approach to marketing that. I guess I'll tell the other projects too. I'm also launching an AI ad creative agency because of this primary case study that I'm about to showcase here. So, yeah.
Yeah, so you've been able to like spin up a bunch of ad creative. We're going to jump in here and take a look at your process. But again, that key idea that I think is so cool is that you've been able to pre-sell memberships to this co-working space, before the working space is even ready, using AI creatively to put together a lot of marketing assets and videos and so forth. So let's get into that. And as we do, like what should somebody listening or watching this expect to learn by the time we get through this conversation?
Yeah, I would say exactly that lesson that I conveyed. You will learn to sell something before you build it. And I have maybe one of the most insane AI case studies that I've heard of, that I've like lived the past few months here, which we'll get into in a second. But yeah, someone will be able to sell their ideas before they build them by creating fake content is not the right word, but creating content to like convey a concept before the concept exists in the real world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, giving a visual is so key when you're trying to get people behind a vision or a mission. And a lot of times that can be really difficult, especially I can imagine, you're doing something like a co-working space, and I'm sure it's like being built out, and, it's a construction site probably at this point, if I had to guess. And so like, how do you put together imagery and video that gets people excited about this idea before the thing really exists? So let's dive in and have you open up a screen share and talk us through first at a high level, like what are the primary tools that you use? I'm super interested to get into this because video production using AI is not something I've done a ton of, and it seems like it's just growing by leaps and bounds in terms of capabilities. So talk about like the core tools that you're using, and then dive in and start to walk us through your workflow.
Yeah, Figma Weave is like the staple tool. It used to be called Weavy. It was acquired by Figma a few months ago. And it's a node-based, like digital whiteboard, if you will, interface that allows you access to all of the top generative AI models. So you can use image models, video models, and sort of chain them together, which is what a lot rather of what I'll talk about today. And that's really the main one. I mean, running the ads, we primarily run ads on Meta for our shared workspace. I'm loving the Claude MCP with Meta ads because I just absolutely hate the Meta ads integration, but we'll spend most of our time today in Figma Weave.
Very cool. Well, let's dive in and take a look at it. What you got for us?
Yeah, so this is the shared workspace that we're launching in Cleveland, Ohio. It's called the Work Club, and very unique AI case study. This is the actual building that we now have a commercial lease in. The commercial lease is $7,000 a month, and my business partner and I didn't want to just sign on the line and hope for the best there. So what we actually did for about 3 months before signing the commercial lease is we were running ads on Meta that were comprised of AI-generated video footage. And over the course of 3 months, with a negative CAC, so we were actually making money by running ads, we had 80 people that gave us $50 to secure their membership in a co-working space that didn't even exist yet. And we had the address on there and the actual building, but this footage, among other footage, which I'll also showcase, was completely generated. And it felt a little weird, like almost like we were selling something that didn't exist, but we had or rather on the website, it was very clear that if someone wanted a refund, we would refund them immediately, which we have a few times. And if we didn't end up doing the co-working space, of course, we would just refund them immediately as well. We were just using Stripe to take deposits, so there's just a tiny fee there. And that was really the case study.
Yeah.
At this point, just to wrap up the explanation, we've signed the commercial lease. Construction is underway, like you said, and we have 220 members who have given us $50, and even some that are now giving us $100 to secure their first month and secure their membership in the space, even though it doesn't exist yet. It's opening up in August, and right now it's May.
So this is super cool. So I'm looking at this video, and the internal like aesthetic of the co-working space is opinionated, right? Like how closely does this hew to what it's actually going to be in reality? Do you know that yet? And if so, like how did you get it to look a certain way? Did you feed it like images or examples? Like talk to me about the actual process of producing this video that we're seeing right here now. Not so much mechanically, which we'll get into, but the style and the kind of feel of it.
Yeah, so what we're seeing now, this little loop was generated with Google VO 3.1 at the time, I believe. And this, I would say, is actually not super accurate to what it's going to be. This is an old landing page that I just pulled up for the podcast here. Since then, I've redone, this is my AI ad agency that I'm working on launching. Since then, I've redone it. On the left here, what you're seeing is the current Meta ads that we're running, and this is spatially accurate as well as accurate to the interior design of what we're actually going to be launching. And yeah, I'm giving the image models, in this case Nano Banana Pro, images of what the space looks like as well as what our interior design style is. I'm getting very dialed images, and then from there I'm feeding it into Kling 3.0 in this case, which is a video model that animates or videofies the photos. But I'll break all that down in a second, of course.
Yeah, very cool. Well, let's I think you had some other examples you wanted to show, some of the things you're doing, just to like give some color to basically what's possible before we jump in and start building. So walk us through some of the other things that you're doing here. This stuff is super cool. I'd love to see more of it.
Totally. I'll break this down in Figma Weave as well, but this is just some personal content that I made. These are 2 actual drone photos that I took, just sort of me and all the stuff I love most in this world, if you will, fed into Seed Dance 2.0, which is a more recent model that came out. And this just blew my mind. Like, if you look at the paddleboard, it's one paddleboard here, and it will switch in a second and turn to another paddleboard. Just like flawless transition. And another thing I love to point out is this wave comes in and like waves away the parking lot and then takes away my car with it. Just unbelievably mind-blowing stuff. And I'll break down exactly how I did this later in the episode.
Super cool. And you said the model that you used for that one was called
Seed Dance 2.0. It's from ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and that actually, well, fun fact here, that took a while to come to the United States because there was this viral video made of Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt fighting on a rooftop, and all of Hollywood was freaking out and like suing ByteDance. And then initially when it launched, you couldn't put faces in it, but now you can put faces in it because they were just so worried about people's image and likeness being stolen. But yeah incredible.
It is crazy. And there's also just the whole kind of moving target aspect of that, right? There's so many different models and tools becoming available that if you're not like spending your time deep in doing video or doing images, you're probably aware of Nano Banana, ChatGPT. I know OpenAI just came out with their Images 2 or whatever I think it's called. So those are some of the more popular ones. But you've already mentioned a couple of tools that probably a lot of people, unless they're deep into it, tools like models like Seed Dance or using Kling are good things to be aware of.
You have to be aware of the models. It's like that simple. I was very frustrated when I first got into this because I was just like, I just want to like prompt and get what I want. But you have to learn the models. You have to be aware when new ones come out so that you know what to prompt and what they're best at, which we'll get into for sure.
Yeah. Cool. What else you got here?
Yeah, this is just one more example, and we'll dive into detail how I made this as well. This is my friend that has an app for people that run and organize car shows. This is a real video of him doing a talking head. When I make AI ad creative or ad creative in general, I really like mixing real world, so like an actual person with AI footage behind it. Society and culture isn't quite ready, I think, for like AI footage. We still get AI hate on our shared workspace work club ads, but we also get members every single day too. So that's why I like mixing things. But anyway, this is called Live Judge. This is his app for car show organizers. And this was made again with Seed Dance 2.0. Really incredible output because there's actual app screens of his app in this. You'll see it in a second here. That's his real logo that it inserted in there. That wasn't me. His logo's over here too. And then you'll see in a second his actual app screens will be on the phones that these AI characters are holding.
Very cool. Yeah, I agree with your point about it is still divisive, especially I find like when people do talking heads that are AI, like there's just something the models I think still have a little ways to go, like the lip movement and stuff isn't quite perfect, and it just feels a little like disorienting. So I like that idea of kind of mixing in, if you're thinking about creating your own ad creative, like maybe like invest the time to and energy to put yourself in front of a camera, get comfortable actually doing your own talking head stuff, and then use AI to augment it versus maybe trying to do the whole thing with AI, because I think there is a certain feel that definitely you can evoke using real, like a real person, you with your personality and all of your tics and everything, right? Like being up there on camera and being comfortable doing that, I think is almost more important now that AI can do a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly right. My friend here is like hobbyist comedian. He's very good, like has very good presence and pace, and you can pick that up in the video too. So 100%.
Cool. What else?
I think those are the examples that are worth
Awesome.
showing for now. I'd love to dive into.
Yeah, let's jump in and show us some of your workflow. I'm eager to see how all this stuff comes together.
So I will break down specifically how I created all of these ads. But first, I wanted to just give some context and provide some bearings for people here. on what Figma Weave is. So it's a digital whiteboard that one can essentially chain models together. So just so you know what we're dealing with here, like I said, digital whiteboard, so you can move these nodes around, as they're called, but you also have access to all the generative models. So I'll just do a very basic example here. I'm just hitting Command K, and I'll get a prompt node for us to start off. And then I will also do Nano Banana 2. Nano Banana 2 is like a little bit of a lighter weight and a cheaper model as compared to Nano Banana Pro. These are both made by Google. And I'm just going to use Nano Banana 2 in this example because it'll give us faster results as I demonstrate Weavy here. And then, essentially you would chain this prompt node to this model node and then hit run, and you'd get an image. And I'll demonstrate this actually, I'll just type something in right now. So we both live in Denver, Jason. I'll just say Denver mountains. And so, too, I'm using an app called Whisperflow to dictate all of this copy. It's much quicker than typing.
Whisperflow.
Yeah. I think you said you use the same. So I'm just holding down function on my keyboard and able to just dictate to these things right away. I was going to do something like Denver mountains. Do you have any other ideas on what we could prompt here?
Let's go with your gut. Let's go Denver mountains.
All right. Denver mountains at sunset. This is super basic prompt here. Yeah. And then I'll go over to this model here. I'll go ahead and put this 16:9 aspect ratio. And you can enable web search, which actually allows the model to go look out on the internet and pull things from the internet. I'm not going to do that now just for sake of speed, but I just hit run. So it's putting this prompt into this model node here, right? And this is just so much better than being trapped in a thread chatting with ChatGPT or Gemini in the Google case here, because you're able to see like what you're doing and if your experiments are working. So it already did it.
Yeah. I want to ask a quick question. So on the left of that Gemini node there's an image. Looks like you can input an image. So would that be like if you wanted to give it a prompt and then maybe like an example image for it to work off of, or an image to modify? Is that the basic idea there?
Yeah. With the different models, we'll get more into this. You can feed different inputs in. In this case, I think like Nano Banana supports so many images. So you could have like all of your friends. You could put all of your friends like profile pictures or whatever in here and be like make a group photo of us.
Got it. That's
and
neat.
some of the models even too like support tagging in line these specific references, but I don't think Nano Banana does in this case.
Okay, so there's some different behaviors based on the model that you're using, which makes sense. Okay.
Totally. So you mentioned before ChatGPT images, which is a great model. Say I wanted to compare how Gemini does or how Nano Banana 2 does in comparison to ChatGPT images 2 with the exact same prompt. I duplicated this with Command D, and now all of a sudden we're using ChatGPT images 2.0.
Can you take a single prompt node and feed it to multiple models?
Yeah, you're right. I could have saved time by just doing that instead.
Okay, very cool.
Super helpful. And I'll talk about this more in later examples, but it's much more efficient to generate video with dialed photos already. If you're just going prompt to video, you'll waste a lot of credits because you don't really know what's going to come out. So my process, and really the pro process that everyone is using, is, hey, let me dial in my photos, because you can see these are 6 credits, which is about equivalent to cents in Figma Weave. 6 cents, I got this image, and then I could pump that into a video model and feel way more confident about what's going to come out of that video model.
Okay, gotcha. And I was going to ask about that, so this is a good time to inject that question. What is the pricing model for Figma Weave? Is it like a flat monthly subscription, certain number of credits, and then you can pay for overages? Is it something like that?
Man, that is amazing what ChatGPT Images 2.0 came up with. It's pretty accurate to the Denver skyline too.
Yeah, you can see the cash register building there.
I love it. There's different plans, like monthly plans. Yeah, I think it's $45 a month for 4,000 credits, so roughly a cent. If you run out to, you can just buy more credits, so, and you can see it's just like, it's 1-to-1. The credits they don't cost more if you're like buying them as opposed to they're on your monthly subscription. But,
I got it. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a couple of images here. We've talked about how you can have different models feeding off of the same prompt, different inputs into the image generation nodes. What's next?
I'll just dive into some examples here of different things I've done with Figma Weave. So we can start with some work club examples here. I saw a billboard on the highway. I don't know what bank it was for, but it was US money, like bills with funny characters instead of like US presidents.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do this for work club. So we have Ben Franklin here on the $100 bill. He's tipping his work club hat. His hand looks correct. This is a tagline of ours. This is our logo. This is more information on our offering. Just insane. And this took me 2 hours. And I probably shouldn't have been spending my time 2 hours doing this, but I was just having so much fun.
But I'm sure you were having a blast. Yeah, exactly.
Totally. So let me show you exactly how I made this in Figma Weave here. So as you mentioned before, you can feed in these multiple reference images. So this is Nano Banana 2, which was the model we were using before.
Yeah.
I fed in the $100 bill and our logo. And I just said, recreate this $100 bill, replace it, blah, 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 on the left side. And, looks like I did that here.
This is super helpful to see, though, like how an actual, like really easy to show, like a basic, like, okay, put a prompt here, chain it into an image generation, but actually seeing, this can get pretty complex, right?
It can, but when you make it yourself, you know how to, like, you know where things are and you can scroll around. So
yeah.
I was confused because my board was a little jumbled, but I fed in the logo, I fed in the bill, and then I said, he's wearing a flat brim hat with the work club logo, and it got it. First time it got it, And look at that resolution too, so high resolution. And then from there, I was working on putting the logo in. This is a tagline that I fed it. And this dollar bill still had things like this on it, legal tender and stuff. So I was like, maybe I should remove that.
This is super interesting. Yeah. So one of the things that I'd love to hear your reaction to is when I've tried to do image generation work, like just inside of a chat thread in Gemini or OpenAI, one of the problems that I run into is I'll have like a version of it that I like, but I want to keep iterating on. And so I'll tell the model, okay, make it better in the following ways or whatever. And then like, it'll just like go off the rails and it'll sort of like do a version that's actually worse. And I want to sort of like roll back to what it was before. And I have found that when you're doing this just inside of a chat thread, it's hard to do because once it generates an image, it's almost like it gets stuck there. That's stuck in the context at that point. So it seems like you have these nodes that are sort of like progressing you through the iteration process so that if you get to this next one and it does something you don't like, you have almost like a fallback point where you can keep iterating from. Am I understanding that correctly?
100%. Yeah. And like,
very cool.
Because you're in product and design as well, but a very basic workflow in design is let me create one thing and then let me create another thing and see how these compare and then pick my favorite. And then from the favorite, I'll create another thing and see how those compare. It's the most basic approach to design. I remember my designer friend that told me that, and the day he told me that, I remember it was like a mind-blowing moment for me. I was like, it's that simple. And when you're trapped in a chat thread, you can't really do that. You're like scrolling up and down. You need to be able to look at something like this, like left and right, and be like, I like this one, and then iterate on that one.
Very cool. I love that. Okay, this is neat. All right, so what's next here? What do you got?
Just to wrap this one up, because it's the example I mentioned before, you can see I was iterating all with Nano Banana Pro here.
And zoom in for me, like what? Just give me one or two more examples of what these iterations were. Like that one that's, so you're like feeding it more.
Yeah, I was like having it put more stuff on the dollar bill over here. But then I was like, maybe I can make the hat better. So I was like, here's the one hat. He also has like a really creepy, weird smile here. So I didn't like that. Here's another hat. I didn't like this, but then I liked this smile and wink. So that's what I went with.
Okay. Got it.
And then, as I mentioned before, I did all this iteration with generative image models, which was cheap.
Yep.
It was like 9 cents a generation. Then I took the bill that I finally iterated and liked on. He had not a creepy smile, and I liked this hat, and it had all my taglines. And in one time, I fed it into Kling 3.0, and this was $1.60 or so.
Okay.
Actually, more than
Yep.
that, right? Because it's cents, few dollars, right? And then I put this prompt, and I'll get into like how to type good prompts too, directly into the Kling model. Looks like I did run it twice actually, so maybe the first one didn't work well. But anyway, I didn't waste money on these like expensive video generative models because I did the photos first.
Really cool. Super cool. You got another example here? Is that Office Space I'm seeing?
This is Office Space. Just for context, we have a sort of a brand narrative that work is evolving. So I created, work has changed. We went from the office to work from home to now the work club. And that's really how one of our brand narratives, right? I took this Office Space image and then added this like boring Blake stare. He's blinking. Then I took this woman who's at home with 2 computers. She's on Zoom. She's like staring at her cat on her lap, just hating working from home. And then you got a happy guy who's in our space, right, with our interior design style and like spatially accurate image. So that's just something there. And I just iterated a bunch with the guy. The woman was like a little creepy and like way too sad in some places. I think I have some images other places, but yeah, you kind of understand there. And then, as I mentioned, initially we were just like kind of generating stuff with VO 3.2. This is when I didn't know as much about generative AI, and it wasn't interior accurate or interior design style accurate. And this is when I started to work on that, right? Because people were pointing out like, hey, people are leaving deposits to be members at a space that is going to look totally different. I was like, you're right. That's a big issue. Let me go deep and understand how to fix this. So you can see here, this is our actual space here, the undeveloped space in the basement of that church, the garden level of that church that I said, or that I mentioned. And I'm just feeding this one image into Nano Banana 2 here with this rather long prompt. I work with Claude to put this together. Image 1 is the room. Use it for the exact spatial layout, blah, 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 blah. And then I think I fed a ton of images to what's called an image describer node in Weavy. And I'm going back and forth because it used to be called Weavy and now it's called Figma Weave, but it's the same thing.
Got it.
You can feed an image to the image describer node, and for 1 cent, 1 credit, it will describe what it sees. So we were working with an interior designer, and she's given us a lot of inspirational images as well as mood boards. Yeah. And I fed it that to get the words, and then I feed that into an LLM like Claude to get that. But anyway, you can see side by side.
That's really cool. Yeah, we're doing some remodeling at my home right now, and this would have been super useful for like early in the process. We were like bringing designers in and builders and stuff to look at the project. And I kind of had like a vision in my mind of what I sort of wanted it to look like, but I didn't have the vocabulary to describe it. So that made it hard. And then like the only other option then is like you're just showing people like generic images. And so what I was trying to do using, again, just in a chat with like Gemini was like taking a picture of my kitchen and then feeding it another image and saying, try to make it look like this. And I was getting very mixed results, but I can already see like the tool set inside of Figma Weave here would have made that whole process a lot simpler.
100%. And yeah, to explain this further, I'm not sure what I was dissatisfied with here. Add more to the space, banquet seating. So yeah, it just felt a little too empty to me. So I was like, add more to the space, put some banquet seating, put some other people. And I was like really asking it. Okay, yeah. So it didn't get the banquet seat. Banquet is like this, essentially. I didn't know that term before, but now I do. I was like, on the wall where the bookshelf is, can you put bench seating, small cohesive tables, blah, blah, blah. And it got it, right? Like I didn't want this bookshelf. I wanted this banquet seating. It did it.
Yeah.
Then from there, I was like, oh no, like we have this really nice wood wall. I was like, I want the wood wall in there. So I went back here and I was like, make the back wood wall as an image 2. So yeah, it looks like I fed this as image 1 and then I regave the model again this actual space image and I was like, put the wood wall there. Just nailed it, right?
Very cool. And you mentioned something there too that you just kind of breezed by, but I want to zoom in on, which is you said like this is called, I think, bank edge seating or something like that. And you're like, I didn't
Yeah,
know that term
banquette.
before, but now I
Yeah.
do, right? And like that's like such a it feels like a sort of minor or subtle thing, but I think it's so important because like whatever you're doing with AI, whether it's like content creation, learning how to vibe code, like learning how to do product strategy and UX thinking, there's a whole vocabulary that like goes into it that when you start interacting with the models, you pick up on that stuff really quickly and it starts to make you more efficient because now you know how to prompt the model better. A lot of it to me, prompting isn't just about the structure of the prompt, but it's about you actually possessing the vocabulary to, accurately tell the model what it is that you want it to do.
So true. Yeah, it's so true. I saw my friend sent me a meme. He's a web designer as well. And he was like, the meme was like, web designers are safe, or like graphic designers are safe because clients still don't know what to ask for.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of truth to that, right? It speaks exactly
Yep.
what you just said. Like if you can't type it in and ask for the right thing, you're not going to get it.
Exactly. Well, these are super cool examples. Let's jump in, and I think we were going to do some building together. So we were going to live build on a new concept. What are you thinking there?
Let's do it. So I have this. This is my headshot and then a laptop sticker, which will make sense in a second. But I have this product idea that I will create one day, at least for myself, maybe for others. But the idea of putting large quotes on a laptop. And my favorite quote right now is, I'll put it in here so we have it. Why are we here if not for each other? So that's my favorite quote right now. I think it'd be cool to just have that in huge text on the laptop. So, if I wanted to launch this business, I could work with some sticker printer and like get the big print and put it on my laptop and take photos because I'm a photographer and have a nice camera. But that would take like weeks, right? I have to get the thing. I have to find an ideal to shoot, la, la, la. Or I just mock it up with AI, run some meta ads, make a basic landing page, and see how many people convert, right?
Right.
So my idea here was, let's just take these three things actually, and we'll see if we have time to create a video, let's say a video for a meta ad.
Yep.
But let's just start with images by creating this image of this laptop sticker.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Sound good? Any ideas you wanted to inject in this?
No, sounds great. It's I've had a similar idea for like in my house. I really someday want like a quote wall, like a wall of my home that has like, I was thinking like wood carved or something nice, like famous quotes, inspirational quotes, all kind of like on a wall in my home. So this is cool that you picked this idea. Would love to jump into it and just see what we can come up with.
Totally. So we'll start with the prompt, and I want to showcase something else here. Figma Weave makes it very easy to download images. Like this is a stock image from Unsplash. It's like a free stock image website, but to download it, I'm going to throw it into Claude in a second here to give an example. I just hit this little download icon. So let's go to Claude here actually. I'm not able to get this image. So I'm going to throw this image into Claude of the laptop because what I want to start with is just a prompt that will get us this basic. Actually, I'm going to show a really powerful thing in Figma Weave here while we're at it. My first task, I think I'd like a studio shot of this quote on this laptop. And let's just not even change the laptop. We can just keep the laptop as it is. Got the quote here. I put the image into Claude. It's good to use LLMs to type these prompts. I heard on some podcasts, it was funny, like maybe a few months ago or probably like a year ago, everybody was like, prompt engineer is going to be the new job. We're all going to be, prompt engineers are going to, it's the most desirable job. The AIs can prompt the AIs better than we can ever prompt.
Yeah.
And
I
like
totally agree.
that job title is not going to be a thing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm about to demonstrate that. We have Claude here. I'm going to use Opus 4.7, which is the highest end model on Claude. It has access to this image, and I'm just going to give it context on what I want to do. So I'll dictate this right now. I'd like to create a product mock-up of my product idea, which is quotes printed very largely on the back of Apple laptops. I don't want the Apple logo to be visible. And the quote I would like is, "Why are we here if not for each other?" I would like to use this image as the reference image in Nano Banana 2. Can you please type a prompt for me to use so that I get the laptop with the quote on it that I already mentioned?
This is where it's at right here too. I've heard people refer to this as like meta prompting, right? So that whole idea of like, you have to know exactly how to write the prompt and what to structure it, or how to structure it, I think was super relevant, back like when ChatGPT had first come out. A lot of us were just jumping in and just starting to use these models. But it's really, I had a friend of mine who's in the AI space the other day, I think say it nicely and succinctly, is that it's become a lot more of a dialogue with the model. So you just can go in and kind of talk about what you want. You could potentially sit here and have a 5-minute conversation with Claude, just very conversationally. Here's what I'm thinking, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end of that, you could say, okay, now write me a prompt for Nano Banana with everything that we've talked about. And then I've found that that's kind of how you sort of tie a bow around one thread with one agent, and then you can have it sort of summarize everything into a prompt to get the next agent started. And then again, it just becomes a dialogue, and it's sort of this like repeating cycle that you go through.
100%. It's a dialogue and a dance. And like people are like, oh, AI is just going to do everything. And like in this example, yeah, it is AI. AI is probably doing more work than me here, right? It's doing like way more amazing things than I'm doing. But I'm taking my ideas and like massaging it with Claude, and then I'm going to put it in Weavy and iterate on it to get what I want, what's in my head, So we're not in this like, I call it like one-shot heaven. That would be like you just get what you want immediately with one shot, one prompt. Like we're not there yet. I don't know if we'll ever be there, right? Because it takes iteration and massaging. So getting back to the example here, it said, here's a prompt you can paste into Nano Banana 2. Just for example's sake here, I'm just going to take this, paste it right in here, drag that prompt over to the model. I had this on 9:16 aspect ratio because that'll be ideal for meta ads, right?
So that's like vertical video.
And while this runs, should be super quick. While this runs, I want to showcase, this just blew my mind the first time I saw it in Figma Weave. It's called the text iterator. So you actually can, right here, runs. You can do multiple runs. I don't love it, but you could do multiple runs, which means like it will run this multiple times. And of course, it'll charge you for each run.
Mm-hmm.
With a different seed, which is like a random injection. So that's an efficient way to like take the same prompt and get multiple options from that prompt. But what I want to showcase next is called the text iterator. So if I wanted to save time, like I just did this, right? We got this one example and I don't like it.
Yeah.
I could go back to Claude. I could say, this came out, I don't like it, type me another prompt, and then I could do this whole thing again. But that'd be pretty time consuming. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Claude and say, your prompt led to a very sterile looking image. I'd like there to be much more character in the stickers, perhaps even graphics interjected, different color text, and different typefaces. Can you now type me 5 prompts separated by a new line and another new line? And by line, I just mean a blank text line. There should be no line, just a blank text like when a human types return. I'd like those 5 prompts, please. Make them distinct enough so that they lead to different results. And again, we're going to use the reference image of the MacBook in the studio. So now Claude is going to type up 5 distinct prompts separated by that. I don't even know what that character is called.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna.
And is that dictated by Figma Weave, like that separator that you're using? That's what Figma wants basically? So their system is sort of prompted somewhere on the back end or somehow.
You can actually set it to anything. I just picked that. You could do like an asterisk or whatever, but I've picked characters that have been in the prompts before, which kind of messes all things up. But you'll see what I'm going to do is put all that text in here, then use this text iterator node to separate those out.
I see.
And then I'll just prepare these nodes while that runs. We'll do Nano Banana Pro, or actually Nano Banana 2, so it's quicker, as well as ChatGPT images.
Yeah, and that's worth restating, right? Like we're limited on time this morning, so we're kind of banging through this. So we're using a cheaper, faster model. We're not putting as much time and attention into the crafting of the initial inputs as we might if we were really doing this like for a client or for a real project that we're working on. So that I think is worth underlining. This is super cool, though. I see where this is headed, and I can't wait to see it.
Yep. So you can see it just 5 distinct directions, blah, blah, blah. And then I just copied those over, put it in this text node. Then I put it in here. Text split up by, probably should have just done asterisk.
Oh, I see. Okay, so this is where you dictate what the text split character is.
Yep. And now I'm going to feed this into each. I made both a Nano Banana 2 and a ChatGPT images to edit. And the edit one allows you to input the reference image, right? So now you can see it's all wired up. I have this text here. It's going into the text iterator, which splits it up into 5 different prompts.
Yeah.
Then it goes into Nano Banana 2, ChatGPT images 2, and I'm just going to run this. You can see one run, but there's 5 values, so it's like 6 credits or whatever. That's where you get the 30 credits. Hit run. It's going to iterate through those. And then same thing with ChatGPT images. And now they're both running.
Super cool.
The text iterator is mind blowing.
Yeah, and you can tell, this was designed by somebody who like had experienced the problem, right? Like the very thoughtful implementation here. Okay, and then this answered my question I was going to ask while we were waiting with the output. These are looking a lot more fun. So yeah, basically they all 5 of the images for each model get put into that one node, and then you can toggle through them with the little left and right arrows.
Yeah, and you can even, they recently shipped this, unpack. So it just spewed out all of those results here. And this is like, before we started, like yesterday, I was messing around with this. I am so pleased with these results. Yesterday, I didn't get anywhere near here.
Yeah.
And super good. I mean, you can imagine where you could take it from here, right? I could say, put this guy, if I want to be in it, like put this guy in this image, and he's in a coffee shop using this laptop.
Right.
Truly mind-blowing.
So now, like, let's say you were looking at, you've got all these images now, 10 different images, so 5 from each model, and let's say you've got one, just for simplicity, let's say there's one that you're like, okay, this is the baseline one that I want to use. Do you sort of like drag that out and it becomes a new node, and then you're feeding a prompt with that new image? You know what I mean? Like, how does that, what would the next step look like from here if you wanted to keep iterating on the image?
Precisely, yeah. Oh, on the image you're saying? On
the image, yeah. Like I want to jump to video, but like just talk us through. We don't have to actually do it, but talk me through, like, let's say that just arbitrarily that top left image that you have the cursor over right now. Let's say I liked that one and I want to keep iterating on it. What do I do?
Yeah, you would so you can actually drag straight out from this.
I see. Okay.
Which will prompt you to do a new one or a new node, and we'll just do Nano Banana 2 again, which means that this is being inputted.
That image is now feeding in, and then you come up with another prompt.
Yep.
Okay.
And probably best, and this is actually a good tip that I realized, is like sometimes I'll just go like this and screenshot this right here, and then go back into Claude and take that screenshot of the Figma Weave, so that Claude just has all the context, like, oh, I'm using this image and that blah blah blah, that model, and then I don't have to explain so much.
Got it.
But these are unbelievable, and it's really interesting that obviously the prompts are the same. The image models rather are getting the same prompts, so you can see, I mean, slightly different, but I love this one actually. This is, I think, my favorite one.
Yeah. Does Figma Weave have any sort of built-in like AI agent, so you're not having to jump back and forth to Claude, or is that not a thing yet?
They do have, like, I just put it in the group, but they do have, like, I think it's called any LLM prompt, system prompt. Yeah, I've seen people use this in demos, and you can see it does have even the latest models, it's 1 cent. So like, I guess the cost is negligible, but I just like going back and forth like in the chat, I think, because I mean, what are you going to do? Like duplicate this? You want like the historical thread. You can even see here, like I referred to this at the start of the thread. So
Yeah.
I think end of the day, you still kind of do want to be playing in elements.
Yeah, I was wondering if they had something more like a not like a node, but like it doesn't sound like they do, but like imagine like cursor, where cursor is just like on the right or the left of the screen, depending on how you have it set up. It's just an AI chat, but the AI chat can see everything that's going on in your workspace. So it'd be like this ongoing thread that you're doing in Claude, but it would be inside of Figma Weave so that you're not having to like drag screenshots and copy and paste prompts back and forth.
That would be nice. I don't know if Figma will ever do that because they don't really have access to these like frontier models. They probably want to build their own. Maybe they're working on that. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah. But anyways, okay, so your workflow then is to take things back and forth, and essentially what you're doing is you're using Claude to help you come up with the prompts.
Yep. And that, if you want to, I know we only have 5 minutes. If you want to end on a video here, I think that could be cool.
Yeah, let's jump into a video. I've got a little bit of wiggle room. So yeah, let's jump into a video next and just show mechanically like what does that process even look like?
Yeah, in this case, I'm sort of drawing a blank on what this meta video ad could be, which is of course a place that we as creatives arrive to often. But
yeah,
luckily we have. Go ahead.
We have Claude. Yeah, we could go to Claude. I was going to say like your idea of somebody in a coffee shop earlier, could be one idea, like somebody kind of sitting down at a table and then sort of folding their laptop open, and you see the sticker kind of like appear as they fold it up.
100%. This is bringing up one other thing I'd love to mention because it's been super useful for me. I'm not doing it right now, but a lot of times during meetings like this, like brainstorming meetings or meetings with clients that I'm creating ad creative for or websites, I'll have Notion AI going in the background with a transcript.
Yep.
And then you just said some ideas, right? If I don't want to like have to remember what those ideas are and then go to Claude and redictate them, I'll go to Notion and I'll be like, Jason just said some ideas. Please type up a prompt for Seed Dance 2.0 based on the ideas that Jason just said. That's me prompting Notion, which has access to our live conversation. So just a mind-blowing thing.
Yeah, once you start to really get into it, it's like every corner you look around, you're like, oh, I could use AI for this and that. And like I have a very similar workflow when I'm doing product strategy stuff where I have a meeting transcriber. Actually, something that I vibe coded myself is what I'm using right now that manages my tasks and projects, and similar in a loose sense to Notion. But yeah, that feedback loop that you can create when you're capturing the transcript, feeding it back in. Notion's AI agent, I've just started dabbling with that recently, is quite good. So yeah, these are all great tips, I think, for really improving your workflow.
Totally. So let's come up with some ad concepts. I know you said the coffee shop, but we have a studio shot here. I don't want to get too freaky with it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say, I'll just dictate Claude right now, and then we can pump out some videos to check out. Let's say what we have here is an example of a product that I'd love to sell. You have some context on what that product is in this chat here. Could you give me 5 distinct meta video ad prompts for Seed Dance 2.0 that uses this as the reference image? Let's keep the aspect ratio as 1:1 here, but you don't have to mention the aspect ratio in the prompt. And above each concept, have a 1-sentence, fairly concise, bolded text that explains what it is so we can quickly understand before reading the whole prompt. Thank you.
I love being very polite to my models as well, by the way. Please and thank you.
You got to be.
I heard someone say, when the AI overlords come for us all, I want my history with AI to be spotless.
That's exactly how
Which I thought was funny, but also kind of scary.
100%. Mentioning the model in the ask to Claude is huge because Claude has some understanding, right, of what Seed Dance 2.0 likes and doesn't like. I will say, though, that's one thing I've been very frustrated at, is that these model companies, they don't really tell you how to ideally prompt. Like Seed Dance they don't explain. I'll show you the Seed Dance 2.0 reference. They don't explain if you can use these, like if you can say reference 1, reference 2, or how you should refer to that in the prompt.
Got it. I've seen some documentation from like the big frontier labs like OpenAI when they release new models. I know they'll put out guides that are like, here's the way to get the most out of this model, or here's how you should prompt this one. But yeah, I would imagine that's something that not all companies are doing a good job at.
Totally. All right, so we got slow cinematic orbit around the laptop in studio. I like that. Young woman closes her laptop in a sunlit coffee shop. It read our minds there. Oh, an ASMR install. Love that. ASMR is like, I'm sure
that's
you
hot.
know, but
my
like,
kids love it. Let's go with that one, man.
It's like when you can hear all the details in
Yeah.
a thing. I mean, Seed Dance can do this too, right? I don't know. Let's get it going for sake of time. We'll do this first one here, the cinematic orbit.
Yep.
So I'm just going to feed in the file as reference 1. Then we can pick some more and do it. And just for simplicity's sake here, I'm not going to use the text iterator, especially with these more expensive generations.
Yeah.
And then, it's not ideal and super realistic 1 by 1 for meta ads, but I'm just going to do it for speed sake here. And you can see when you increase the duration, it becomes much more extensive. For
Right.
speed sake, again, I'm just going to do 7 seconds. Rezo sticker builds itself on a blank laptop element by element with snappy print press energy. Insane.
That's cool.
Let's try that. So there I just highlighted in Command D.
Got it.
Go into the thing here and then get another Seed Dance 2.0 reference. Feed this in. 1 by 1 aspect ratio. I'll keep that to 5 seconds. 127 cents, pretty good. And these become cheaper like often. Nano Banana Pro used to be 50 credits, so 50 cents, and now I think it's 25. Like they just halved that forever. And you can imagine a future where these just, you get these results instantaneously for free. Like that's probably where we're headed, which is wild to think about.
It is
creativity.
wild. That was one thing I was going to say while we're waiting for these is, all of the results that we're seeing here, I say this about AI generally, is like it's as bad as it's ever going to get, right? It's only going to get better and more powerful from here. So if you're watching this and you're like, man, this is really cool, but it's still not quite like what I would want. Like, number one, what I mentioned earlier is we're not spending a ton of time here thinking critically and really kind of diving into the details of the prompt. And number two, like these models are just going to continue to get better, cheaper, faster. So it is a wild time to be doing any sort of knowledge work. But what we're seeing here, especially with video, graphics, all that stuff is just evolving so fast.
Yeah. Sometimes Seed Dance is buggy and like hangs in Figma Weave. So I'm just going to prepare some others for Kling.
Got it.
This points out, I can point out like a interesting thing here. There is a new Google model called Omni, which came out like literally just yesterday, May 21st, 2026. And that's not supported yet in Figma Weave. I'm sure it will be soon, but we have VO 3.1 image to video here.
Yeah.
You can see that this only supports first frame. So I can't give this as a reference. It will forcibly make this the first frame, which is not ideal for like these prompts that we have. So VO 3.1 would not be a good option, at least right now. Kling, however, actually Kling is fairly complex too, in that you have to put this into an element. And this kind of comes back to that frustration of like, I don't really understand what an element is and how many images it needs. You can have up to 4 images in an element and then feed that into this, but hopefully it just accepts this one here.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a learning curve with like the different models and how they want you to engage with them. I can see that.
100%. I'm just going to pump this first thing into Kling here in case Seed Dance is behaving badly, as it tends to do. Duplicate that. Kling and Seed Dance are definitely my favorite models. I haven't played with Omni yet, admittedly, but I've had great results with these.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by Omni and getting in and playing around with it. I mean, I know when Nano Banana came out, that was really a highly regarded model, and like I said, things continue to evolve and change, so you got to stay on top of that stuff. But yeah, I suspect, if I had to bet, Omni will probably be pretty good. I'm curious how it will compare cost-wise to some of the other models out there.
This is what tends to happen with Figma Weave, is it just hangs at 95%, so hopefully.
Got it.
But we got these for backups if not. This is one thing I love about AI. While we're waiting for that, this is one thing I love about AI too. This is what was in my head. Actually, what was in my head is this, but with cooler typefaces.
Yeah.
That's like as far as my creative brain took this idea.
Mm-hmm.
And then I asked Claude, and these came out. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, they're so cool, And I think as creatives, as designers, we have ideas in our head that we want to have in the real world. And now with AI, I should say, like, before AI, I was creating things and they were never as good as what was in my head. I was always disappointed. And now it always exceeds what the idea was in my head because AI is so powerful and it's so exciting and fun.
It is super cool. And I'll say, for somebody like me, especially, like, I really, I admire people who can do graphics and design. I can sort of muddle my way through it and kind of get something that's passable put together, prior to AI. Like, I could sort of fake it, and it wasn't good, to be clear, but it was like good enough that it wasn't like a problem, right? But I just love like how AI has opened up these possibilities, and it's similar with like building software. If you want to build little like personal apps to manage stuff and build tools for your company or whatever, like all this stuff is possible now that just wasn't possible before. And it's why it's like, I think that's such a big part of why there's so much excitement around AI.
So fun. All right, we got our video results. Luckily, Seed Dance finished up. I'm actually going to start with Kling because I believe that Seed Dance will probably be cooler. So let's start with what is maybe the less likely cool. So this was the first prompt. This was the studio. Let's see what Kling came up with here. So it did not handle that sticker at all.
Okay, interesting.
Same thing with this. This is a woman at a coffee shop. It just couldn't handle the sticker at all. Let's see how Seed Dance 2.0 did. Pretty good. You can see we have some AI weirdness here. Of course, this should be the computer screen. But that's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And I don't know if you can hear it or if the the listeners or viewers, whatever, can hear it, but there's really cinematic. It's skipping a bit, but there's really cinematic like reveal sound, which is awesome. And then, okay, this one.
This was kind of like the printing press.
Yeah.
I want to think. Well, I like that.
Pretty unbelievable. Let me download these and share my screen just with QuickTime so that we could get this playing back. It's just a little buggy. You can see Seed Dance is better. And like I mentioned before, you can have all these references. You could just give it a ton of references. So that's one thing I'll mention too. This is a fairly basic example here. We're feeding in this one prompt and getting this one shot. But Seed Dance supports many scenes and shots. You can tag like shot 1 is this, shot 2 is this, at this duration, at that duration, with this transition. So I mentioned like one shot happened before, like Seed Dance is maybe the closest we got. I still suggest feeding images into it so that you know what you're going to get out of it and there's not like randomness here. You can imagine like we could have typed this prompt and then had it go here, but we wouldn't have gotten something as premium looking as this. It would have been like, I don't know, just randomness,
Yeah, totally. Well, this is super cool. So did you get those downloaded?
Yeah. Let me share. Here we go. So this is that print one. insane.
It's wild.
We could do the other one really quick too. Hopefully the audio comes through. It's pretty good. I mean, you can just imagine, like,
obviously you could keep iterating on this like endlessly, right? So this was really cool though to see the process just kind of walked through step by step. Super informative. I really appreciate you, Michael, spending some time walking me through this. If anyone's listening, watching, wants to connect with you, learn a little bit more about what you're up to, maybe your co-working space, or getting help with getting some of these workflows implemented in their own life, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, my personal website is michaelhenry.studio, and then I'm michaelhenry.io on Instagram. And then if you want to check out the work club, it's theworkclub.co.
Awesome. Well, Michael, thanks again. I really appreciate it, and we'll hope to talk to you again soon. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thanks, Jason.
All right.